So in today's teaching, I'd like to speak about the four regions of awakening. Now, for most people on the spiritual path, uh, most people just focus on one region. But what Kundalini does is it offers us this gift, or rather a demand, or an opportunity to discover these four regions of awakening. And so let's speak about those. So with Kundalini, because the energy is such an embodied energy, it comes with this power, this potential for true spiritual awakening, for true spiritual enlightenment. Now, many of you are in this group because you struggle with Kundalini, because it's been difficult with you, because it's been painful, because it's been confusing, because it's been overwhelming. And many of us, we relate to the energy that it's a problem, that it's bad, that it's wrong, that it's just too much for us. And it's too much for us. But Kundalini isn't here to torture you, it's here to liberate you. And so there's a massive opportunity here for four, in a sense, separate awakenings. But when you open in this way and experience the full picture of it, it doesn't seem like four separate awakenings. It seems like one massive, deeply integrated, embodied awakening. And in these four regions, there's also the potential, if you're not open, awake, and relaxed in these four regions of the self, there can be four great levels of suffering. And so I'll just explain them briefly here. There's the awakening of the mind, there's the awakening of the heart, there's the awakening of the body, and there's the awakening of all seven chakra centers, the spiritual nature, with the energy arising and flowing through all seven chakras. And so say for example, well, I'll just say it this way. Kundalini wants you to be clear and relaxed inside. So it wants a clear mind, clear emotional nature, a clear body, and a clear seven chakras. And so this is the foundational practice of just looking into your mind and noticing, is my mind a mess? And by that, just a great inquiry question is, like, what's going on in my mind? Is my mind deeply divided? Or is it one-pointed? Are there multiple voices in my head fighting with each other? Do I have negative thoughts or belief systems where I'm actively judging and attacking myself? And so if so, you're going to have trouble with the Kundalini. And so if we look a little deeper into the psychological nature, that kind of plays into this. If you have seven different voices in your head, you probably have seven different characters, emotional characters, a judge, a critic, one who sabotages, one who rebels, one who fights, one who resists, one who's spiritual. And in theory, we don't want to have, seven different emotional characters all fighting for time and attention on this one channel called your consciousness. We want to have one voice. And if you feel into your body, is your body a temple? Does it feel like a temple? Or does it feel like an old bag of bones, a bag of rocks? Have you beat up your body? Have you fed it, alcohol or intoxicants? for long periods of time? And have you treated your body with kindness, with love, or have you abused it? Do you look at your body as, something that you're just stuffing it with food or feeding it, whatever kind of garbage people put into their system? Like, do I have a yoga body that's, flexible and fluid and healthy and operating on all 8 cylinders? Or is our body not operating well at all? And so the demand from Kundalini is that you have a clear mind, a clear emotional nature, a clear, relaxed body, and that all 7 chakra centers are open. Now, of course, I'm not going to expect all of you to come in to this lifetime and say, yes, my mind is absolutely clear and awake. My emotional nature is perfectly integrated and I'm living in absolute congruence and my body is the perfect yoga body. In fact, last month I was on the cover of Yoga Journal magazine, so I'm not expecting that from any of you. Life is not expecting that from any of you. But life is, the Kundalini is, inviting you to grow into this. To grow into this. And so in a couple minutes here, or in a little bit here, we're going to have some sharing, a time for people to come forward and to share where they're at, say with these 4 quadrants of ourself. And to share and to bear witness to each other of where I'm at, like where am I at? How has this been going for me? This is the power of Sangha. And so, but back to the teaching here. So Kundalini, when I offer this teaching like this with these 4 different quadrants, is not asking you to judge yourself or to control yourself or attack yourself in some kind of spiritual superego type of way. That's normally the first thing that people do when they hear a teaching like this. Okay, there's these 4 quadrants. I'm failing at all 4. And so now I need to, judge myself and attack myself and be harsh with myself. That's not the way we go forward in this path. Kundalini inherently is a path of love, a path of peace, and a path of strength. And so there's a wisdom here. There's a gentle discipline that I'm inviting for each of you. Just to look at yourself. Just to look and notice. Like say, for example, in the quadrant of the mind, do I have negative, unhelpful belief systems? Like, do I have negative self-talk inside? Do I look in the mirror and not smile? So if any of you look in the mirror and you don't smile, if you look in the mirror and say, he's ugly, or I hate him, or oh my God, she's needs to be, 12 pounds skinnier, then she'll be the perfect weight. Like if we have these types of thoughts about ourselves, it just does this very basic thing. When you have a negative thought about yourself, your chakras contract and the Kundalini cannot flow through you. So Kundalini came into you by way of grace. God looked down from heaven at each of you and said, I want to flow in this one. And so the invitation, when God comes into the room, can you make yourself a fit temple for this grace of divinity to flow through? A fit temple. And again, please do not take that in a judgmental way. But like if my teacher was going to come for a visit, I would certainly walk around my house and straighten it up. I would straighten it up. I would straighten it up. I'm not going to judge myself for the fact that I have children in the house and 2 dogs and, two adults who work full time. The house is kind of messy. I'm not going to judge myself. But if I know Christ is going to show up, if I know Kundalini is showing up, I'm going to do some work to make things ship-shape. I'm going to bring myself into alignment. And so these are great questions of, do I have negative, faulty, or unhelpful belief systems? What's my relationship with my emotional nature? Am I happy, peaceful, and at ease? Or is there pain here? And if there's pain here and confusion, am I reaching out and getting the adequate support? From my teacher, from my guides, from other members of the Sangha, from healers, from body workers? Am I reaching out and getting the type of support I need? With my body, is my body just beat up and full of trauma? Could I benefit from some exercise, from some yoga, from some inner flexibility? And of course, all these three minds are connected. The mind, the emotional nature, the thinking mind, the emotional nature, the physical body. Your thoughts are literally stored in your body. So you can't just have a clear mind. I've seen great spiritual teachers who have clear minds, but whose bodies are actually alcoholics. They have emotional pain and sadness, and so they drink while being enlightened, which is a paradox. It's like I'm awake in my mind, but my body feels like garbage. And my emotional nature I ignore, so I drink in response. And so the Kundalini, it will not let you get away with that. Because if you ignore your body, there'll be pressure, there'll be pain, there'll be weird symptoms, there'll be difficulty. If you ignore your emotional nature, the same. If you ignore your mind, the same. There'll be pressure in the system. And so the teaching for today is that we must learn to awaken, inhabit these four quadrants of being. We must learn to relax and heal. Last week's teaching was healing and spirituality must be a way of life. But this way of life, it leads to true non-dual awakening. Vast, spacious freedom, loving, blissful heart, immense strength and power in our belly. And this flow of grace flowing up the spine, inhabiting all 7 chakra centers, and receiving the fruit of each center. The fruit, the wisdom, the radiance, the divinity, the light. The light will manifest in each of the 7 chakra centers differently, with a different divine quality. And so when we open in this way, when we make healing a part of life, then things actually begin to look more like a path of enlightenment and less of a path of pain.